Welcome back to another episode of the Rules of Nerdquisition. This is a special episode where we will not be reviewing an episode of the original Star Trek or any other episode, at least in order of appear or order of release ish, as we often do. Today we do have a special guest, but as always, I am Gretchen. We are broadcasting live on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and soon to be airing episodes on Ghost Claw Production Radio on the web at gcpr.live. As always, I am joined by my faithful number one, my gallant first officer, the angriest of IT nerds, Gilbert. Say hello.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? So, this is going to be an exciting episode. I am super thrilled right now to be here talking of course, with Gretchen and now with Steve. We are going to get some inside scoops. We are going to get all kinds of drama on the backstages of Star Trek. No,
All kinds of drama.
no, no, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a great conversation. So, everybody, sit back and relax and enjoy the ride.
And our guest, as Gilbert mentioned, is Steve Warnek, a writer for Star Trek, notably the episode "The Abandoned" for Deep Space Nine. Fantastic episode, by the way, which we will be sure to talk about among some of his other projects. So, Steve, thanks for coming by. We love having you here.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you, Gilbert. It's really great being here. And I have to give a shout out to my friend George Dare for introducing me to you both. It's really great to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. And again, George, appreciate you putting all this together because without you, it would not be possible. And I don't know if you all can hear my dog whining in the background, but she wants to go out, but it's so bad. It's so bad raining outside, she can't go out. So my apologies if anybody here hears a every now and again a kind of whining. I
No
apologize.
We all have dogs and
So
families. That's not anything that needs to be apologized for sure.
right. So I guess yeah, let's go get started and get into it. So I guess Steve, tell everybody here, you know, how you guys started with Star Trek and
So a
let it
long time
put a
ago.
dime in the jukebox and let it ride.
Okay, all right. We're going to hit the Wayback Machine then. So a long time ago in a galaxy, well, that's a different universe, but anyway. Um, so back in college, actually, very good friend of mine told me about something called the Speculative Script Program at Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I decided, hey, I could write it. I think I could write like those guys can, So I applied to them for their guidelines and everything and wrote two scripts to them, then didn't hear anything for a year or so. And then finally got out of the blue, I got a call from Ronald Moore's office asking me to pitch to Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was the last year and they were doing the final pitches. So we were, me and my writing partner at the time, we put up a bunch of pitches, pitched to them, and they get hundreds, if not thousands, of pitches a year from writers all over the place. Professionals, novice writers like myself at the time, and just tons of stuff. So we had a lot of, when we went into that pitch, we had a lot of stuff that was similar, but unfortunately, nothing really sold. So I asked him, hey, could we pitch to Deep Space Nine? Because that was coming out soon. He's like, yeah, absolutely. Love to recommend you. So we did. And about a year or so later, I was doing a pitch to Jim Crocker for at the tail end of the second season. And it was about a genetically engineered child, and ended up becoming, well, long story short, I got a call. Well, I didn't get a call. I actually waited about till July of 95. So it was about 9 months. And it's like, hey, I called them. I was like, hey, I did this pitch way back in like February, or rather, yeah, no, it was February. I'm sorry, it wasn't that long. It was February. And it's like, did you hear anything about it? And I was like, no one's talked to you? And I'm like, no. And it's like, oh, well, we're doing some things finalizing up for the beginning of third season. You may get a call back from us. Okay, fine. So needless to say, a week later, we get a call from Ira Stephen Bear's office and saying, hey, we like your idea. We want to combine it with this. We want to make it about Odo. And it's going to be coming off of, it's kind of like an echo of what we're doing for the premiere, the first 2 episodes of the premiere. So if you remember back in third season Deep Space Nine, they were introducing the founders, the Dominion, and Ira was like, so I have to tell you this piece of important information, and you can't tell anybody because we're going to kill you because we know who you are and we know where you live. It's like Odo is one of the founders. Oh, okay, interesting. So I had that information for a couple of months, in the back of my mind, and couldn't tell anybody. But so kept going, so we basically did a story treatment, sent that off to them, was invited to the studio to work with the writers. So it was, Ira Bear, Ronald Moore, Renee Echevarria, those guys. So toured the set, met, one or two of the actors who were there at the time. We met Armin. I think we also met Terry. And just basically we were working on on beating together a story, scene by scene, and then we would come back and write the script, the first draft. And after that, then they filmed it. So it was a whole 6-month process from beginning to end, really. And it was really a fascinating thing, from me who was never a film student, getting to do this based on just something I pitched to them, and they spent a ton of money on doing it, and it was really great, and it was really cool. We were thinking about all kinds of different possibilities with the story. They were really liking it because it was very much a bottle show. It could work pretty much on the basically on the station, and eventually it ended up being it was really a station-bound story. But we came in with the idea of this genetically engineered child, and they had the idea, well, we want this child to be one of the Jem'Hadar. And, they're genetically engineered super soldiers, and we think that they're addicted to this kind of chemical, kind of like the spice from Dune, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it makes it not only it sustains them, but it amps them up and everything like that. So that became the what do you call it? What we call the isogenic enzyme Ketracel white. So that was the beginning of that.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then so it was just basically then beating out a story of how Odo is going to deal with this echo from his past about him being, from this race of basically space Nazis, and trying to undo some of the damage that his race has done. And, it was something that was very poignant to the story, and it was very much interesting because Avery Brooks, who directed the episode, picked up on that a bit, and it's like, he's like, I see, he even said, it's like, I see this paralleling, young Black men, in, let's say, gangs or whatever, and who are being in this environment where they're bred to be violent, and it was an interesting thing he meant, he had said in interviews later when he directed. So that was kind of the thinking we also had, was that this is a kind of akin to like a gang, a gang kind of similarity like we would have on Earth, but obviously much more. They're indoctrinated. There's this whole almost religious you know, you know,
Almost like a
fealty
cult
to the
like
founders.
yeah, almost like a cult like conditioning,
Exactly. So,
right, yeah.
and there's this extra thing with this whole Ketracel White thing that they're addicted to. So, you know, Odo has a really tough challenge, you know, trying to figure out how to get into this person's head. And it very much became almost like a good versus evil kind of thing, you know. How do I how do I take this innocent who's born with whatever and make him good? So that's the kind of layers we had there. And there were also other things as far as, you know, what we were doing to do this B story with um you know, with Jake growing up
Right.
and Cisco kind of losing a little bit of that familiarity with his son. Oh my God, my son is going off doing other things, and I'm not necessarily part of his life anymore. What can I do about this? You know, so there's that parallel. Um, we also did have some other ideas running around. We thought about a expedition for Dax and for O'Brien to go out to the Gamma Quadrant and try to find the planet of the Jem'Hadar training planet, which would have been great. It would have been a really awesome thing to see because we had it where they could just make all these Jem'Hadar. They would grow up and they would fight each other to the death. Yeah, and they would just, you know, beam onto the planet and be like, oh my God, they're all dead, except, you know, and they find out about the purpose of the Ketracel White, you know, so it's like this thing, this prize that they all fight for. So unfortunately, that never made it to the final script, but it would have been cool to see, you know.
They almost kind of visited that in another episode, like later on in the series,
They
what during the
did
war,
actually.
the one where they were all on the planet with
Mhm.
Bashir and O'Brien were down there and Cisco and them they were fighting and they were running out of the Ketracel White. And the
Yep.
what it was the one
Yeah.
Vorta was like, I'm gonna send them all to attack you because you
Yep.
know it's
Yep.
we're out and there's nothing we can do at this point. But
Yeah.
I
So
think
so go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna think it's super cool that you got to work with the Jem'Hadar because where I think that um, TNG, it's certainly arguable that they stumbled a bit finding themselves in the first couple of seasons to really kind of
Mhm.
find the tone, not just the actors
Yeah.
finding their characters, but the formula for what I call the big three, which is TNG, DS9, and Voyager. Because
Mhm.
they all were like in that same era. But although Deep Space Nine had a really strong beginning, because they had that formula to build on, it really stepped up to a whole new level in season three when we introduced the Jem'Hadar
Yep.
and it became a whole and to be able to write about that and to define that character those characters even more that species I think it's just incredible that you got to do that.
Thanks. Thanks. It was really great.
Yeah.
It was, I really feel blessed that, you know, yeah, I was at the right place at the right time with that. And, you know, that whole thing resonating, like you say, Gretchen, to other episodes is really great to see, you know, and yeah, it's really cool. And also, you know, just to see how Odo has changed now and how he's trying to strike on his own path, you know, and especially when, you know, the one scene where we have him, um, he invites Kira to his new quarters. You know, before he was living in a bucket in his office.
Right.
And so he's
Right.
trying to understand more and go on his own path of what it is to be a changeling. And you know, when he invites her over and she has the uh flowers or whatever that she brings to him, you know, and it's like, I'm not using the bucket anymore. This is, you know, I am trying to do a new path for myself. I will figure it out myself and I will make my own path, you know, kind of like Worf did you know, with the Klingons, you know, with his Klingon heritage,
Yeah,
you know, so it was really great to see. And you know, it was just the beginnings of a lot of different things. And all those threads ended up all over different places in the series, which was great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, because I could definitely see up until I would say like the first two seasons, I mean, yeah, it was it, it was a Star Trek series, but it was almost like a that episode, and with the introduction of the Jem'Hadar, it cemented itself as being like its own Star Trek series.
Yep. Yep.
As opposed to just be like an extension of TNG, or kind of a bridge from that to Voyager. This is its own separate thing.
It's its
Yes,
own thing. Yeah,
it's
that's
all
where it really
connected.
came into
Yes.
its own. Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's all connected, but it's still
Yep.
its own thing.
Yeah.
So
Nobody watched that episode and watched the Jem'Hadar go screaming into the Odyssey and take it out, and not your jaw not drop to the floor.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
like
yeah,
that. Your first thought is that could have been the Enterprise.
Right.
Had the
Yeah,
Enterprise been
absolutely.
there, they'd be gone.
Oh,
And
I think there was a little bit of of subtext there. It's like,
yeah,
oh, we're not doing the same thing as we did before.
that
So
this show is
Right.
serious, and they did not take their foot off the pedal until
no.
the end.
Yep. They just kept going, and they kept going, and it was great. And it's a singular experience that you never. I mean, for me, I was 25 when I did that, and it was really interesting. It's just an amazing experience, really, really. And then I actually got to see Avery Brooks on Broadway a few months later. He was doing what was it called? Paul Robeson, and he hardly ever signs anything, but he signed my script. So
Awesome.
I was like, Avery, I'm like waving my script, like, Avery, you directed this episode I wrote. He's like, come up here, man. Jeez, this is great. So it was really great. I mean, and it was
Yeah.
it was too bad. I mean, the other fun thing I could do is I could get to go to some of the conventions and meet some of the other actors, because they were on kind of hiatus at the time. So, I was able to meet Nana. I was able to meet, Renee, and, just say, hey, thank you for doing I mean, I really enjoyed what you did. It's great to hear your lines being, done by someone, and the way it comes about.
I
So,
can only imagine that. And
Oh yeah.
I would be remiss if I do this every week on the show. It is kind of morbid, but as somebody who grew up, started watching Star Trek, the original series, in syndication, we're
mm,
at a point in our lives when a lot of these actors that we grew up with are starting to pass away. I mean, we only have 3 of the original 7 even left,
hmm
with Bill and Walter and George.
yeah.
But I always mention a Star Trek actor or actress or someone behind the scenes that was involved in an episode we're talking about that passed away. So I do have to mention that Renee Auberjonois did pass away on December 8th of 2019. So everybody loved Odo. If you didn't love Odo, then you are not a fan of this show or Star Trek. There's the door. You can see yourself
But they may have liked him as Kate
Right.
Endicott. So
out.
so yeah, so it was really cool. And then after that, I still continued. After my 6 months was up there, I went back, ended up still freelancing. So Voyager, Enterprise, met a whole bunch of great people there. No other real sales there though, so because it's so difficult. I mean, you get sometimes you just get your one chance. Sometimes you get a little closer, with a couple others, but there's just so much. But that's the way that goes. And then Enterprise, back in 2004 was canceled, and way too early, I think. And it was really a shame, to see it go, before its time. Because I really
Yeah.
thought what they were doing,
Yeah.
Manny Koto in the 4th season, really bringing it up with all this new stuff that they were doing. I really think it didn't get its chance, and because the actors are so good, and
Yeah.
but I could talk a little bit about that
Yeah.
in a bit. So anyway,
It does seem to be a
I'll take it.
common format, though, that they're doing, though, because now they're like, what, Discovery ran for 5 seasons.
mhm,
It seems like they're cutting
Yeah.
it back because, again, going back to the big 3, they each had 7 seasons, over 170 episodes each.
Yeah.
And I still maintain that
Yeah.
probably the flagship series, all 3 of them combined, We all have
Mhm.
our favorites, but
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
still the flagship series
Yeah.
of all Star Trek, in my opinion, even above the original series.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
I
they
heard
never got
something
their
one
shot
time.
either.
Well, I heard something one time that was when you mentioned something about the number of seasons and episodes and things like that. I heard something where Disney, with their shows, even though they're maybe wildly popular,
Mhm.
they'll end it after like 3 seasons or 5 seasons or something like that, just simply because the audience, it would be the audience has grown, the audience has changed, and so now they have to instead, it'd be easier to make a whole new show for to cater to the new audience
Mhm.
and just let that show be its own thing, and then whatever that audience that was for that show, let them be them, and then the
Yep.
new show has a new audience.
Well, I
I
mean,
have
it's
to
go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to wonder too if because we're in the era of TikTok, if people's attention spans aren't just shortening.
That is true too.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That is true.
television or the nature of what people consider television now has changed dramatically.
Mhm.
I mean, back then we had 13 channels and everybody was like, okay, we had seasons that are 24, 25 episodes long, and so it's a
Hmm.
lot of crunch to do. And now you're talking about seasons that are maybe 7 episodes long or 10, I mean, and they're
It's
really
almost like
condensed. So
right.
you're not stretching out as much as you did. But we also, back then they were selling, this was the syndication market they were talking about also. So that was just the nature of television then. Now there's so much competition, and you have the streaming now, and then you have everybody on YouTube doing great content. I mean, there's great
Mhm.
material out there. I watch mostly YouTube now. So, it's, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to, I'm going to disagree just a little bit. I don't think there's not an appreciation for long form content, but I think there's a greater appreciation now for short form content. I think people do like to
True,
have the best of both.
Right.
true.
There are times that people just want to sit back and just watch and do whatever. I don't think, the classic idea of an hour long or 2 hour long thing is going to go away. I just think the nature of, I think that there's a place for both of those kinds of content out there.
Mm.
Um,
And they're certainly trying to reach out to general audiences too.
oh,
As
sure.
a nerd, like say I'm working, I work at home, I'm an accountant. If I'm putting something on my laptop to watch while I'm working, because I don't talk to anybody all day, I want if I'm not watching any of the big three on Pluto
Mhm.
TV, switching back and forth between the
Yep.
three of them, I'll go on Disney and I'll put on a long movie. Find me the longest science fiction epic. I'll go on Max and watch Dune back to back,
Yep.
episodes 1 and 2. Just give me something
Right.
big so I can have it on and I don't have to sit here and change it every 2 or 3 minutes. But yeah,
Yep.
short and long form content, I'm for all of it. If it's nerdy, give it to me. I will consume it.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Depending on what I'm doing, if I'm sitting and I'm like building a model or I'm animating or something like that, then yeah,
Hmm.
give me something, hour, 2 hour,
Yep. Give me
4 hour,
background noise. Give me something. Yep.
type of thing,
Exactly.
and just have it play in the background, you
Hmm.
know. But if I'm taking a break, I decide, hey, I need to chill out for a couple minutes. Yeah, I'll scroll through TikTok or I'll scroll through YouTube shorts or, scroll
Mhm.
through Reddit stories. Just, all right, I'm good. Then back to work,
Yep.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I
I
could
totally
definitely see the appreciation, you know, for both,
Yeah.
I
and
totally get that. I've
yeah,
probably watched as much Red Dead Redemption 2 content on YouTube as I have hours in the game. So I mean,
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I mean, you have people streaming games and things like that on Twitch. It's like, I would never have thought you would be doing that now, but people like that stuff. I mean, it's like, okay, cool. It all
yeah,
depends on what you like.
Yeah.
I do that
So.
sometimes, and I get people to just pop in and just want to chit chat, and I'll just
Yep.
be mindlessly
Yeah.
playing the game, and we're chit chatting about something entirely different.
Yep.
So it's like
Exactly.
whatever
So,
Yeah.
works.
It just, I don't know why. It's just sometimes it just hey, that's just how it is. Sometimes,
That's it.
And so I would never think anybody could do that with Skyrim because Skyrim is my jam. I
Mm,
love it, So as much as I love Skyrim, I never would think, you would see it on Twitch or on YouTube and anybody just randomly playing through Skyrim, But I would see, YouTube clips of where, people will do like a walkthrough of like a particular dungeon or something like
mhm.
that, or there was one I came across. It was called the Senile Scrolls or Senile
Okay.
Scribbles or something like that, but it was a
Uh-huh.
Skyrim parody. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
Very
The
cool.
amount of content that people create is crazy out there. But I was going to ask, just to clarify for my notes here, Steve. So you
Mhm.
said you initially sent some episode works for TNG, right? So
Correct.
you didn't do it. You didn't write anything for them. It just sort of got pushed off
No,
to.
actually, no, because out of the two, the second one we never got any word. We got actually a rejection on, um,
Mm.
and I understand why. But the first one, it was interesting because it was a script called The Warrior Within, and it was about some aliens who are let out of this dimensional prison, kind of like the Phantom Zone
Okay.
from Superman kind of thing. They're on this planet and it's a cave set, and Riker stumbles in and gets lets them out, and in doing so gets paralyzed from the waist down because of some kind of reaction that he does with the force field. And unfortunately, we had finished it. We had finished like the last, almost the final draft of it. And they had two episodes that came in back to back that took both elements of that plot. So because there was the one where Worf is like hit by a barrel or something
In the
and he
cargo
becomes
bay.
paralyzed. I think it was called Ethics. And then there was this episode where Troy and I think O'Brien and
And
someone else is taken over by some aliens on
right.
this from this dimensional prison. I'm like,
My
oh,
gosh,
well, that's horrible.
who was
Um,
that? O'Brien. O'Brien.
I know it was
Troy.
Troy and
Data. Was he the third one?
I don't remember. I don't remember if Data was one of them, but they did take over some of the crew, the same in mine in the script we wrote. And so it's like, all right, well, what are we going to do? Well, you know what? Let's finish it up, send it in. Maybe they'll like the writing. A year and another, maybe 13 months later, we get the call from Ron Moore's office. Hey, loved your script. We cannot do it, but for obvious reasons, but we'd love to hear what else you have to say. So, and that's all you can really ask for is a lot of those scripts, that get sent in, for whatever reason, because they're grinding through so much. And, it's like, hey, I'm happy to just pitch to the show and something will happen sooner or later. And eventually it did. So, you know,
Yeah, and to get a rejection letter for them, or any kind of rejection feedback at all, for them to take time to do that is saying something. Usually, if
right.
it's like, "Oh, we don't like that," throw it
Yep.
away.
Right.
They'll
You don't
never
hear
contact you again.
anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. Believe me, I've sent
But
stuff in, you know, and I've been ignored. So that's fine. That's fine. It
I'm happy.
happens. But
I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. I mean,
so I mean, even though it's unfortunate that you get the rejection, but hey, the validation that they took the time to
yes, they
look
take
at
your
it.
name and they take your name because I asked them
Yes,
a few years later, it's like, oh, we're going to put this in your file. I'm like, I have a file? It's like everybody has a file. Wow. Okay.
okay, that's
I
cool.
feel
Yeah.
really important now. So,
It should be enough for them to say, well, they saw something in it of value to
yeah,
say this is somebody we might want to look at down the road, and that alone is an honor in and of itself, I would say.
exactly. Exactly. So,
So what are you doing now these days? Now that
oh, so let me continue the
shifting
saga.
gears on that.
yes,
So, Oh, and George just told me Power Play was the one. Okay, that was the episode.
And it was Data. It was Data too.
Okay,
Riker was wounded, therefore they didn't take his body over because he wasn't a adequate
perfect.
vassal
Yeah,
right at the moment.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so thank you, George. So anyway, so after Enterprise was done, I was really looking for something to do for a while, honestly. And another good friend of me showed me this website called space2099.com. Or maybe space 2099.tv. Anyway, um, I reached out to Eric Bernard, who was running that website. He's an editor and filmmaker up in Quebec who was trying to do basically was doing a remastering of Space 1999. Martin Landau, Barbara Bain, Nick Tate. Um, and he was trying to redo the effects, redo the editing, clean it up, speed it up a bit for a modern audience, kind of like what they did, like what George Lucas did with Star Wars, the special editions. Okay, so he was working on that, and he was trying to get that to ITV for the longest time. It's like, well, I'm like, hey, do you need a writer? And it's like, well, I don't need one for this, but we're looking at maybe doing a sequel series or something. So, long story short, I ended up meeting him in 2012 at the Space 1999 convention in Los Angeles, which is where I then met my writing partner, Robert Wood, and my script editor, Christopher Penfold, who had worked on, among other things, not only Space 1999 for both seasons, but also he worked on Midsummer Murders. He worked on The Tripods. He wrote the entire second season of The Tripods.
Oh.
So he's got a huge amount. He had a huge amount of history in British television, and met him, and we became very fast friends. Very close to me. He's very close to me. He did pass away last week, by the way.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and but I was there to see him before. But I believe an obituary is going to go out in the next week or so, probably in the Guardian, commemorating him and everything he's done. But anyway, so we were working on something called Moonbase Alpha Legacy, which was a sequel to Space 1999. Unfortunately, we could never really obtain the rights because there was someone else was working on a Space 2099 also, which was kind of strange, but all right. And anyway, nothing ever came of that production. So that really didn't go anywhere. The rights ended up back in ITV, and that was that. Fast forward a little further, we had a story meeting at my house in Florida, and we had just come back from the Space Center because I'm close to Cape Canaveral, and I can see the rocket launches from my front lawn. So
Oh, wow. I'm
A little
jealous
bit
now.
jealous. A
Yeah.
little bit jealous.
A lot jealous. A lot
maybe we
jealous.
could
But
do one of your shows from there, one
that
of the
would be
next
cool.
launches. That would be cool.
That would be
Yes.
sweet. Don't mind the
So
rocket going up in the
Absolutely.
background. This is where the action's at.
there you go. So we were
So don't worry about that.
Yep, yep. So we were beating around some ideas, and we'd watched the film Gravity and 2001, and then we were beating around some ideas, and we came up to with an idea which is now called Helios. And basically it's a post-apocalyptic series. We went through a couple of iterations over the years. We've been working on it for about 10 years now. But that being said, It is a post-apocalyptic. The pilot episode is a post-apocalyptic drama. And if you wouldn't mind, Gretchen, could you show my poster, please?
I can show your poster. Give me just 1 second here to call that back up. And actually, you want to take a quick look for me while I'm pulling this up. I found another setting to turn on my shares. Try that real quick on your side just to see if it works for you this time.
Let me see if I can find my mouse. Hold, please. Oh, I can. Look at that. Awesome.
Okay, there you go.
Very good. Let me get then my, where did I put it? Downloads. There it is. Okay. And it's going to come up sooner or later. There it is. That's better. Okay. And no, I'm sorry. Give me one more sec. I just wanted to find my new, that's what I want. There you go. Let me know if you can see.
Can see.
That's
Yes.
Awesome.
So that is Helios. And by the way, this poster was done by the amazing artist, Eric Chu. He's done some great work with Jamie Anderson for stuff like Thunderbirds and the Space 1999 anniversary stuff. Eric also did he is also called the Cylon God. He did a lot of the production design for the reimagined Battlestar Galactica.
Another one of my favorite shows. So
Nice.
So
Yes.
thank him. He is the Cylon God. He created the Cylons.
nice.
Okay. So
I like that poster though. It's got a lot of emotion in it just for being fairly simple, you know?
yeah, Eric is the best. Eric is the best. Definitely check out his website. Check out his Facebook. He's always on Facebook.
His
Great.
name again?
Eric Chu.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
So
definitely check him out.
yeah. So
yeah, definitely check him out.
yeah. So
Yes.
so we were it's a post-apocalyptic series. We had originally written it as a live action. So to be like about 5 seasons long. We had gotten to do the first year, we kind of mapped out and everything, and we wrote a pilot. And it was live action. We were trying to go back and we were trying to beat back and forth how best to get financing. So we wrote it not only as a pilot, as like a full length, movie pilot kind of thing. We also wrote it as a web series because it's split into 7 parts. We could do that. And finally, we were just not getting any bites from anyone in Hollywood or London. I mean, nobody really, the state of Hollywood right now is nobody really wants to do anything new unless if it's an existing property.
Right.
So, like a book, video game, whatever, something that has a built-in audience to it. So, and I was talking to Christopher about this about 2 years ago. I was like, well, he's like, yeah, nobody wants to do anything. I'm like, well, hell, screw that. We're going to rewrite it as a audio drama. I am going to finance it myself. I am going to executive produce it myself, and I will make a property and I will put it out there. And we are, so we did all that. We got Nick Tate from Space 1999. Al, was the character Alan Carter, to be our narrator. He also stars in it. He has a part as the father, but he does an amazing job as the narrator. He really brings it to life. We recorded it in May of last year. We are now in post-production. We're almost done with it. You both have heard it, or at least Gil, you've heard
I've
it.
heard it.
He's heard. I haven't heard it yet, so I'm just learning about it today.
I'm really hoping you're going to love it too.
Just tell me when and where I can watch it. That's all I
will
need
send
to know.
you the link.
Or
I will
listen
send
to
you
it.
the very private link.
No problem.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, Gretchen. I will tell everybody that is in the audience. If you love sci-fi, if you love drama, you will love this. I binge listened to it twice. already.
That's awesome,
And
especially if it's something I can throw on my headphones and just listen to while I'm working. That's when I just delve into all my sci-fi is when I'm working.
I mean,
Because my
you
job is
could,
mindless. I don't need to put my brain into my job.
I mean,
Mhm.
you could listen to it, while you're working in the background like that, but you'll start getting so engrossed with it, you're just like, hold up, I need to, I need to wait.
I could see
I
that. I
need to
could see
stop
that.
what I'm doing right here. I need to listen. What's going on here?
Sure. And it's one thing when you're watching Star Trek The Next Generation for like I don't know how many times I've seen that series. I could tell you. I've seen every episode a bazillion times. I was telling Gil a few episodes back on our show. One of the games I like to play is when an episode of Star Trek Next Generation comes on. I can
Mhm.
tell you what episode it is before the title card.
Oh yeah.
In the little opening
Mhm.
mantra, I know immediately what it
Yep.
is. I mean, and I'm getting to that point with Deep Space Nine and Voyager now too. So
Are you really? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. I've watched them so many times now. I just know. You know, it's 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 weird when you can do that. But
So as far as Helios
Yeah.
goes, I mean, you really it's episodic, I take it.
it's episodic. The
Okay.
first entry of it will be the first volume of the audio drama will be 7 episodes long. It's a little over, I'm gonna say about 2 hours, 10 minutes. I'm thinking after we're all said and done
Oh wow, that's it.
all together.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So
because they're broken up in about like roughly 15 to 20 minutes
roughly 15 to
episode.
20 minutes. There's maybe one that's a little less, only because reasons. uh, dramatic reasons, really. But
Sure,
Right.
sure.
no, they're about anywhere from 10 on the low side to like 15 or 20 minutes on the top end side.
So when
So,
you finally release it, you're going to release, like, say, on Netflix, you're going to do all episodes at once
right, we're going to do
per
the first
season.
volume of
Mhm.
7 episodes. We'll be
Okay.
releasing it either in some kind of either streaming format or like let's say an Audible or a Apple or something like that, or a Spotify. What we're trying to do right now is we are trying to get a distributor as soon as we're finished. We'll be looking for a distributor in September. Hopefully we have an avenue into Big Finish, and we're over in the UK. They do a lot of stuff with Doctor Who audio dramas and Space 1999. So we think that would be a really lovely home for us if we can swing it. So
So you don't have a
Yeah,
specific
absolutely.
release date yet?
not yet, not yet. We're still in post, and we want to have it in the can,
Of course.
done before we can start
Mhm.
pushing it out there, but I want to have it for sale before the end of the year, without a doubt.
Well, throw Gil a message when you have a release date, and we'll plug you.
I appreciate
Oh
that.
We'll
yeah,
I
make
really
sure
absolutely.
that
do.
Yeah.
we'll make sure that
We'll,
our all of our nerds are paying attention. So
Cool. Cool.
oh yeah.
Good.
Actually make an ad on GCPR Live,
yep.
so that way it'll be all throughout the radio station. All of our audience will hear it from Thomas when he does Sound of Coffee or Villain's View or so yeah. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of great avenues
yeah.
there. I mean, Thomas is 1 million followers plus on TikTok, got a
Cool.
big platform there.
Cool.
I'm a much smaller creator, but I've got 13,000 people on TikTok
And growing and
and
growing
growing and
and
growing
growing.
and we're getting
Yeah.
positive feedback on the show. This is only episode 20. And we
Cool.
just kind of started as kind of just a couple of nerds, not even knowing what we were doing. I mean, you
Mhm.
saw that today. It's like, oh, how does Zoom work? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
But you're doing this because of the love of it. I mean, you
it,
love what
ex-
you
Yeah,
do.
excellent. Yeah,
exactly. It's all
absolutely.
about
Absolutely.
Star Trek and all of our stuff. And we throw in Star Wars. Gil and I have talked about, doing a podcast specifically dedicated to the reimagined Battlestar Galactica. It's a very, very, very
Mm.
deeply loved series for me. I
Mhm.
binge it all the time. So
Yep. So
Yeah, because I love Battlestar, and I was I was for a while debating on which one I liked more, was either Battlestar or Caprica. For a
okay.
while, Caprica was winning, but
Yeah.
still Battlestar. I don't know, just something about just something about the original one that still Caprica is great. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna doubt Capra because I do love
Okay.
Capra.
Fair
You know.
enough. So yeah, so I mean, I think you'll be, Gil, you've heard already part of it.
Hmm.
The voice talent we have is amazing. I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
Cindy Dolans, who's our lead, well, we have Cindy and we have Anthony Montgomery from Star Trek Enterprise, who's been with us with this project for a very long time. And, being able to see them uh, together in, recording and just the chemistry they had together is really great. And just seeing it building with the story. So, and of course we also have uh George is pinging me about Doug Drexler. Um uh, who I hope to see next month in LA, by the way. But uh we also have Dominic Keating and Connor Trenier. They have
Really?
uh,
Wow.
they're also up, they play two of Anthony's mates, uh, on the boat that they're on, in the, kind of like a naval thing, so not too different from what they did actually on Enterprise, to tell you the truth. It's kind of the same characters. So,
Nothing
um,
wrong with that. Two
nothing
perfectly
wrong with that.
lovable characters.
hey,
I mean, really, the whole that whole trio there, it's really written for the three of them. And it's very much to play off the friendship they already have and the working relationship they already have. And when I had them come into the studio to record, it's like, you guys are going to bang this out in like 20 minutes, because you don't even need, I mean, they didn't even need to read for it. I mean, they just came in, oh, this is great. I mean, this is like, wow, it's like we never left kind of thing. So it's really great. And when you get into, and Gil, Gretchen, when you listen to episode 6 and 7, where the three of them are together, you'll be like, oh wow. I think you'll really be happy with what you hear. Um, but
well, I'm already happy with it. Everything so far. So I mean, it's
cool, cool.
like I said,
That's very kind of you. Thank you. Um,
it's one of those series where you could just close your eyes and you could just see it. You could
yeah,
see it happening.
that's
And
good.
just from the narration to the voice, it's an amazing series. It really is.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
for anybody who's listening, I promise you, you will be in for one hell of a treat. I promise you. I guarantee you.
Thank you. Thank you. And shout out to my very good friend and audio engineer, Scott Duringson Peacock, who's done an amazing job. He's BBC trained. He worked in BBC Radio years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
And he came in, he's now working at Asylum Studios with my very good friends Tammy Klein and Glenn Campbell. Uh, Tammy was one of my producers on this, as well as Glenn. Glenn was my director. So
Okay.
Glenn has 2 Emmys for VFX direction.
Hmm.
Check out some of the stuff you have on. There's some of the stuff on him on the web. He's great. He's a great guy, and I couldn't think of anybody better to help me start this off and be the director for this and get the people to do what we needed to do. But uh, yeah, Scott is amazing. He really knows the sound field and how to get everything together. And he's also doing the scoring, so the orchestral score is being done by him. So he's doing some
Okay.
great stuff. Also, I want to give a shout out to my very good friend Michael Caputo, who came in and with very little guidance did all my sound alikes for me. So there's this DJ character who is, playing music to the mainland. He's out there. This is Anthony's character. Is this person who's stuck on a boat out there in the middle of nowhere, playing music waiting for his buddies to return from the mainland because they went out after the nuclear war and everything. And it's like, well, we got to see what's going on if anybody's left alive. So he's there. It's been a while. He's still out there, like this waiting for Godot situation kind of thing. And, he and Cindy's character, Jessica, they both meet over the radio. And it's this very much this long distance love story and this also very post-apocalyptic sci-fi Western because she's out in the middle of the desert, at her family plot, trying to survive, waiting for her daughter to return. So it's kind of this whole thing, and I think, it's we're hoping that once this comes out, and is available for people, we can make enough back, or rather, I can make enough back so that I can
Sure.
finance the next one. Because we have two more volumes already ready. I just have to convert them over to audio drama format. But it just goes from there. And I think I know once you get to the 7th episode, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to give too much away.
Well, I'm super
'Cause
excited to listen to it tonight. I mean, I
Cool.
just
Yeah,
got
because I need to know, because I need to
If you-
know if her daughter comes back. I need to know. Like I
Okay.
needs to know that.
Okay. All
was
right.
that the link that you just sent me, Gilbert?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the list, the playlist that Steve, you sent me.
Yep, that's the one.
Now you answered a bunch of my questions like in your intro, so that's kind of good. I don't have to go through my list, but there's something you just mentioned talking about converting it into an audio format. So
Mhm.
I was going to ask you, when you wrote for Star Trek and similar, I guess, on this show, when I'm looking through the credits and researching episodes, and we're gonna, back in the original series, there was always the writer of the episode, and then there
Mhm.
was the person who wrote the teleplay. Is that
Right.
still something that happens today, or does the writer sort of double in both of those jobs?
So it's actually some of the same, actually. So you will get writer is overall credit. Okay. So
Right.
when you see written by, you'll see written by so and so and maybe so and so. That is story, what they call story and teleplay. All right.
Okay.
Then you will see credits like story by someone and teleplay by someone. So that's where you'd have like a story that was, okay, someone wrote a treatment, 6-page treatment, no dialogue, and submitted it and said, okay, we're happy. We're going to take it the rest of the way. So they may have an in-house writer do the rest of it, do the actual screenplay. All right.
Right.
I was fortunate enough because of the strength of the treatment that we wrote that we were invited to do the teleplay and say, okay, no, they know how to write it. It's good. So that's how that separates out.
So you're basically doing the same thing with Helios then. You're writing the story,
Oh,
and
the whole
then
thing. Yes, the whole
once
thing.
it's
So,
done, you go ahead and convert it into, when you say audio format, I assume that means a script like manner for the voice actors and stuff to read through.
right. So what you'll have, if I may show, so you'll have
Sure.
something like this,
Mhm.
okay, which is a standard teleplay format.
Right.
Okay.
Like exterior
Yeah.
desert.
Exactly.
And then
And you
first
have
characters, right?
you'll have similar, but you'll then also have a narrator. And your directions, a lot of your directions become narration. So because you
Right.
need to then say to the audience, okay, you need to put them in that frame of mind where, okay, this is what it looks like. Normally, this is all just directions for the you know, production designers, to do so that they could create the sets and everything, and so that the actors have a general idea of what's going on. In this case, it becomes, okay, now you have to convert what you've done from direct stage directions into a narrative for the audience saying, okay, this is now the story and how it's going about. I don't know if you've ever, and when I was growing up, I like to take some of this cue from an album I used to listen to, The Story of Star Wars. And this is kind of like, back then when we had, the best we had was 13 channels on black and white TV, and we didn't watch movies, unless they were from the 50s, on TV. I saw Star Wars in the theater. I'm like, how can I do?
Me
Oh,
too.
you have an album. Oh, oh, okay. So you throw that on this other on the, on the record player, and you're listening to Roscoe Lee Brown's amazing voice bringing you back to that universe. So that's kind of what I was envisioning for this with Nick Tate's voice, because he just has that amazing gravitic voice, and he really knocked it out of the park, with this. I mean, he did 3 or 4 takes at a time, and he, up into the middle of the night where you can hear some of his lines like, I can't do anymore. I mean, it's like he really, I mean, he loved the material, and he did a real solid by us, and him and Christopher went way back in television, back to like their originally they met on the Australian series My Brother Jack, back I think in the 60s. And they just had such a great friendship over the years. And he came into this saying, oh, like, well, Chris told me to do this. I'm going to do it. You probably can't afford to pay me. And like, yeah, you're probably right. I can't afford to pay you what you're worth. But, he really did a great job, and Gretchen, I can't wait for you to ping me on my phone and say, I really love this because, and I would love to get, if you both are willing at some point in the future, to get some of the cast and our crew on this show. Would be really great sometime in the future.
Please twist my arm. Twist my arm, why don't you?
All right, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Love
I mean,
it.
I would
anytime,
love to. And if you want to share your number with me, or just let Gilbert throw it at me,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I am going
throw the
to
number.
listen. I am going to listen tonight. I'm
All right,
already
good.
jazzed about this. So I mean,
Cool.
once I'm done converting this episode and getting it up on Spotify, yeah, I will definitely give a listen, because I am always hungry for new sci-fi
Excellent.
content.
Excellent. It's always
So
good with wine too.
cheers to you and your, well, fine, there it is.
yes,
Your future
absolutely.
success.
Thank you. Yes. So yeah, if anybody wants to find out more, here, I'm actually going to show if you don't mind, I'm going to
No, not at all.
my
Oh, go right ahead.
website.
This show's about you. Go ahead.
Cool. Let me share. So here is let me know if you can see, here is our Facebook page. Okay, you can go there and see everything that's going on with it. Here's the guys. We're actually going to be at the London 1999 convention in September. We're going to have a panel there. My great friend and writing partner, Robert Wood, and myself and Scott Peacock and Nick Tate will be there. So it's kind of like a getting the ball rolling kind of thing. More to come there. Let's see. And also, oh, here, and can even show you. Yeah, there's us doing the recording. There you go.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's a room full of star power right there.
there you go. Yep. The guys were great. They were so professional, and they it was like they picked up from where they left off on Enterprise. It was great. It was really great to see them.
Gilbert, do we have an actual Facebook page for Rules of Nerdquisition?
We do not.
We do not.
We
Okay.
we
I'm
we
gonna find my Facebook page. I'm gonna have to
so
fix
we
this, and so I can follow
yeah,
these things and
yeah, we
these
need
pages and
to
keep up with it. Use
get
all
on
the
that.
platforms. Use all the
Yeah.
platforms. I'll take care of it. I'm writing it down.
Okay, cool. So check us out, Rogue Moon
I
Productions. And we also have a website as well. You can see this. There we are. You can see your listeners, your viewers actually can hear a little bit of it. We have a clip, so you can listen to it, the beginning. All right. And then let's see what else we have. We also have a bit of a small teaser video, so you can see some of this. These storyboards were done by Eric Chu as well. You can see some of that. kind of get an idea. And we have the episodes listed out. And as you can see, they're all named after they all have very interesting titles.
Yeah, yes, they do.
So, and you can also see, just get the background on who's involved. So please, and any of your viewers, definitely go see our website, email us. You can contact me here. And we also have, and not only do we have, so Cindy, Anthony, Nick, Dominic, and Connor, we also have Tom McLaren, who's done various stuff, including he's got a self-funded movie, a indie movie coming out called Mr. Christmas, and he's also done a part on the new, I'm sorry, what was it called? My bad. Lost in Space. That was it.
Oh, the remake.
The remake. Yep. He's got a spot there.
Nice.
Take a look at him. Tori is really great also. She plays Emily, the daughter, and she's great. She's amazing.
Wow, this is a very intricate. I mean, I as someone who has built passion projects of myself, who've done things like this myself, I can only imagine the satisfaction and the enormity of what you're doing here, and the need to have all these people and to have such a brilliant cast of not just characters but support, behind the scenes support. Because again, we love the people who portray and bring to life the characters and the stories that we adore, but it's the people behind the scenes, the production people, the ones, just not just the ones giving the money, but the ones writing the stories, converting it into formats, the sounds, the music, everything. Because I'll be the first one, if I like a show or a movie, first thing I do, go buy the score or go
Yeah.
download the music.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the first things I do as well.
That's how I
that.
write. That's how I write. I throw in a music score that fits the emotion of what I'm writing at the moment, and you just
Yep.
run with it.
Oh yeah, I love soundtracks. I love what they do to just do something with your feelings and everything, and it's great. And I'm glad, I'm Gretchen. I'm very glad you touched upon that, because everybody involved in this project has a love for it. Anthony's been with us for how many years? He was introduced to me by Andre Bormanis, who's our supervising producer, by the way, and I'd love to get him on your show. He actually just put out a book about the Orville. He did 3 seasons of that
Oh wow. Okay.
as
Oh yeah, I
as
love the
writer and
Orville.
producer. So he just put out a book about the Orville. And I'm sure he'd love to come on here and talk about that and all the work he's done for Star Trek over the years, and Cosmos and a whole bunch. He just has an amazing resume, and a really nice guy, really nice guy. But he introduced me to Anthony. Anthony and him have stayed on with this project for so long because they believe in it. Everybody else is part of it because they believe in it. They know, number one, well, we love you, Steve, so we're doing this. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But beyond that, though, they see that it's written with a lot of love, and they're just taking their time out between gigs. I mean, they all, like myself, we all have separate full-time gigs, and we're trying to just make this go. So, I mean, we're just doing it because of the love of it, and we want to bring something new to the sci-fi audiences out there, and we want to do something new, and something that really means something that's timely. I'm not going to kid you, it's post-apocalyptic for a reason. The threat of nuclear war is something that's really back in the mainstream again. People like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, we thought we got rid of this back in the 90s,
We have
and
world
there's a new
leaders
generation.
I mean, well,
Yeah.
yeah, with
world leaders
movies,
making threats right
Yeah.
now.
I mean,
well, yeah,
so
well, not only that, with a movie that came out last year, Leave the World Behind,
yeah.
with Mahershala Ali
hmm
and
Mahershala, yeah.
and Sandra Bullock and Ethan Hawke. Oh
Okay.
man,
Yep.
oh
Good
man, my
cast.
memory there was
Good
on
cast.
that one, man. I didn't even have to look anything up on that one.
Yeah.
Well, Congratulations. That's
All
true
right.
nerdism right there.
Very good.
Nerd cred, nerd cred.
Nerd
Gil
cred.
gets his nerd cred.
But
Yes.
yeah,
Nerd dictionary.
you see
Excellent.
with movies coming out like that, I mean, and again, with that one, it dives into, you know, what would happen if that one big hack
Yeah.
against America would happen, and how, the society would just collapse in on itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really written from that kind of perspective. And you'll see, but there is a glimmer of hope in it. I certainly think that there needed to be one. And, Christopher, Robert, and myself, we both talked about that at length, about the story and where it was going. And it wasn't just, as much as you think it's going to end here at this one episode at the end of it, it's actually going to continue, and it's going to get even bigger. And so, again, I don't want to give out too much for the ending, but it has some, it's important, I think, because it has something to say. And, that's, I think, part of what sci-fi audiences want, is something that resonates inside. And, and Chris
Sci-fi
certainly
always has that way of reflecting
Mhm.
our current environment.
Yeah. And
Yeah, and well, not only just that, but showing it in a way that we all can accept it.
Yeah.
Rather than just seeing it on the news and just be like, oh, again, or just.
Right.
But instead, you see it and said, okay, we can understand and see the moral lesson of, this is wrong if
Mhm.
it's set 1,000 planets,
Yeah.
in another galaxy or another solar or anything like that. Oh yeah, we can see it now. We can understand it now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We wanted to very much keep it very close, very timely, very like this could happen tomorrow kind of thing.
So
And
this does take place on
Mhm.
Earth then. The
oh
story
yeah,
takes
yeah,
on Earth.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
almost
Because
like
essentially, just like how Steve just said, that it could it could happen like in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then.
It's one of
Yeah.
those stories that's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's how we wrote it. It's literally, you could pick up and like, oh my, this could actually happen like literally within the next few minutes. Yeah, basically. So
Wow.
there's no suspension of disbelief here. So
Oh, that's
um
very cool. I can't wait to listen to it. And just looking from, I know, I'm sure Gilbert can confirm this. Just looking at your website, your Facebook page, the storyboards and the posters, the artwork that's gone into it, knowing that this is not a multi-million-dollar studio production, and that you still have some great talent behind the project that's doing it just because they believe in it.
yeah,
That says a lot about the project right there. That just
thank you.
I'm
Right.
tickled pink
Absolutely.
to
My
watch
my
or to listen.
my
Right.
entire
Absolutely.
crew really thanks you for that. I mean, I've assembled some really great people, and they just see the vision, and they have been very happy I mean, I really enjoy everything that they've contributed. I mean, uh, what Eric's done, you just saw on the poster. I mean, Eric is amazing.
Oh
I
yeah.
am,
Yeah.
um,
And
everybody
like I
for
said, I
everybody who
mean,
tells me I should be using AI, I'm like, no, I don't think
then
so.
why? No, you got that's
It's
great
like,
right
I don't
there.
need
I
AI. I
mean,
got Eric Chu. He's great. Okay.
As an artist myself, I'll be the one to say thank you for that.
yeah,
We can
absolutely.
do it.
Yeah.
We can do it. I think it's
Yeah.
more impressive when a human being does it versus letting an algorithm put together a picture. Yeah, it may be a cool picture, but
Mhm.
did you really spend 18 hours or a month or 3 months painting, drawing, inking, everything that goes into
Hmm.
any kind of
Right.
artwork? It
And
takes time.
as somebody that does, 3D art and animation, just knowing that I do appreciate that as well. Because again, you can go on AI and I see on YouTube and TikTok where people have taken AI and have made movie trailers for like popular movies that are now, but in the 50s. So you see
Right.
like Matrix in the 50s, you see Star Wars, Star
Yep.
Trek,
Yep.
all all those properties like that. And so, yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Cool.
And so, do not be surprised if one day pops up a Helios podcast with us on it.
I
And
would
I'll be
love to
highly
have
upset. I would be highly upset if I send you a text. I said, "Hey, Steve, we're doing a Helios podcast. We would like you to be on it," and you don't show. I would be highly upset.
Oh, I will show. I'll have people in tow. Don't worry. I have a whole crew and cast that would love to be on your show.
Well, then we might have to be the ones that jump on that. And once you get the
We are
episodes
gonna.
out there and they've been consumed by the public, we'll review each episode. We'll do many episodes of the Nerds of Rules of Nerdquisition. I always get that messed up. Nerds of Inquisition, Rules of Nerdquisition. We get it. We struggle with our own name here, okay? But
So,
I'm blonde. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
there you
But
go.
yeah, we'll review all 7 episodes of the first season or volume, as it were,
Okay.
of Helios. That'll be exciting to do.
Yeah, that would be great. Once we get it out there, I'd love for you both to
Absolutely.
do that. And hey, I'll even throw in another one. If you ever feel like doing Space 1999 and reviewing all the episodes of that, me and my writing partner Robert would be happy to do that with you sometime. In fact, Robert's done several books on Space 1999. He is the definitive man on Space 1999. He is actually
might have to pencil that one in.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Robert was protege of Barry Morse, the actor. He knew Barry for a very long time, and he would just go with Barry to conventions and doing theater and all those things. And Robert's great. Would love to have him, on the show. We could talk about Space 1999 one day. That would be great. Episode at a time. So, and some of Christopher's work for sure. It'd be great. So what else?
And we don't really
Awesome.
have a specific format, like as far as scheduling goes. Typically we record 2 episodes of the Rules of Nerdquisition every other weekend, just so we get a weekend off with our families. Because and also Gilbert and I are co-hosts on the Villains View every Sunday night at 9 p.m.
Right.
Eastern time. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I've got a personal podcast I'm about to launch. Gilbert's got his own projects going. We got there's things all across the board here. We're all busy people. So
it's good to be busy. It's really good to be busy. But
it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
And in fact, as you were talking, I came up with the title for this episode, which I think "Labor of Love" is the perfect title for this episode.
There you go.
Yeah,
given what we're talking about and the things and the effort that we put into doing something like this.
Yeah, because this right here, this is a labor of love. What you're doing, Steve, is a labor of love, and so yeah, it fits perfectly.
I really do. Everybody, not just me, but everybody that would be behind me right now, I would appreciate it too. So
we look forward to meeting some of them in the future and talking to them, and certainly wish you the best of luck. Again, I am going to devour the content of Helios has been shared with me this evening.
Fair enough.
Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us tonight, Steve, before we wrap this one up?
Any final thoughts? Well, after you digest some of Helios, do take a look at also the Space 1999 convention in London. If any of your viewers out there are interested in that show also, do have a look, because our very good friend Nick Tate was also on an episode of Deep Space Nine as well as Next Generation. So there's some crossover there. And also because Christopher Penfold did both seasons of that show. And there's actually another convention in Milton Keynes in London that same weekend for another series he did called The Tripods. And a very good man by the name of Christopher Jones has just put out a book for The Tripod. So do take a look at his website. I'll send that over to you both as well. Great book that Chris Penfold had input in, but I definitely wanted to give him a plug because he did some amazing work on that book.
Do you want to share the website with our listeners now? You can go ahead and throw it out there.
If you give me a sec, hold on.
We'll have it recorded anyway. So
I think I have it. Hold on a
Yeah.
second. I think I can even share it out. Let me see.
Okay.
Where? Share. Facebook. Do you see? Okay, that's my regular page.
Okay.
I'm looking for what I go after. Oh, what we left behind. That's pretty old. Friends. No, I'm gonna go to Chris Jones tripods. That's him. Okay, that's his website. And I know I saw tripod. That's it. Okay, Christopher Jones. Okay, that's the one. Ow, sorry. I'm all over the place. That's the book, All for Nothing, Chris Jones. And you can just find him here on Facebook. And I don't remember the actual website. I apologize for that. It was a couple of different, the DNS name was kind of, oh, here it is, tripodsgraffiti.co.nz. That's it. Copy. That's it. That's his book.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, take a look. It's really cool.
Awesome.
All right. Other than that, that's it. That's all I got. Unless if you have any other questions for me.
You got anything else, Gilbert? Any final questions for Steve or thoughts or opinions you want to throw out there tonight?
Oh, well, there's so many I have. But they're
Right.
all about
That's right.
Helios, but you know what? You know what? I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait
All right.
because
Because I haven't listened yet. I haven't listened yet.
because even though I probably could get spoilers right now,
Don't.
I'm not.
I know where you
Because
live. I have your address.
Go.
I'm not going to do that because I want to be surprised. I want to know, but mainly I want to know where's her daughter, man? Where is her daughter?
Oh, I can't
She
tell
has a
you that
bit.
right
Where's her
now.
daughter?
You're already giving stuff away. You're already giving stuff away. Somebody's missing. What do you mean? What? What are you talking about? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Nobody home. Nobody home. Nobody home.
You'll see.
But no,
You'll see.
but other than that, I mean, it was definitely great having you on, Steve. And great hearing about all your story coming up. Your time in working on DS9, your time with Helios, everybody that you collaborated with, and everybody's helped bringing this passion project to life. And thank you, George.
Thank you,
George,
George.
Thank you, George.
You are the man.
for bringing this all together, because I just heard one of the best audio stories in my life. Gretchen, you will do the same. And if you don't love it, then I don't know how we're friends. I just don't know. I don't see it. I don't understand
can't.
how we're friends. If you don't love it, I don't
I can't
understand how we're
imagine that's a
friends.
problem. You and I have not disagreed on nerd content yet, so
Good.
I don't
Right?
see that's going to be a problem.
I love to make
And
good nerd
so
content.
that's all I got.
Well, just like Gilbert, do you have something else you
No,
want
no,
to
no,
say?
no, no, no. Keep going. Keep going.
I was just going to say, just like Gilbert, on behalf of myself and Gilbert, thank you very much for coming on the show. I mean, we're just a couple of nobody nerds that decided one day we wanted to talk about Star Trek and also venture out
Right.
into other nerd content. And it's been kind of rolling forward. We've been pretty good sticking with it and getting there. You're our second guest. We did have the very cool pleasure of speaking to Chris Hunter, who was the son of Jeffrey Hunter, the original
Nice.
Captain Pike. He
Nice.
was on our show once. That was an awesome conversation. But getting this kind of behind the scenes of somebody who's in it, in the dirt, in the trenches, and that's the stuff that I love.
Oh, I've been in the mud.
Yeah, I bet. And
And I think I can speak for Gretchen, and you are more than welcome back to our Rules of
anytime.
Nerdquisition family. So you're more than what anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome to come back.
I would love to be back here, and I'm going to bring a whole bunch of people in tow. Certainly,
So bring everybody.
Cindy, Anthony, Andre. We'll get people here, and we'll keep this going. So thank you all.
Yeah,
Thank you
definitely.
both so much for having me on. It's really been a pleasure and an honor.
It was our
Yeah.
pleasure and our honor. And I will go ahead and close this out tonight, Gilbert. To use your famous line, everybody, please remember to keep your tribbles spayed and neutered. Live long and prosper. Thanks for stopping by. This has been the Rules of Nerdquisition, episode 20. The episode will be live on our Spotify channel tonight after I get it compressed and recorded. Otherwise, you can always follow us on YouTube, TikTok, GCPR, Twitch. Live long and
So
prosper.
we're everywhere. So
Right. Well,
That's
take care,
right.
take
everybody.
care.
And thanks for listening.